Hello, what's up, everybody? It's James, otherwise known as the Skate Punk Lefty, back with another video. Hey, today we're gonna go over a video that had me fooled when I was in my weird ass. I was never a right wing person, but I was a weird kind of centrist liberal, like anti SJW motherfucker who was watching a lot of stupid fucking content that gave me mixed, skewed, and incoherent political views. And of course, I grew out of it thanks to just experiencing life more, meeting different kinds of people, and of course, gaining my own knowledge or understanding about different social issues and topics through my music, talking to other people or doing like actual research on different subjects. But one video that had me fooled, funnily enough, back when I was really young, my last year of high school and shit, and I feel like ironically, being a skateboarder at the time, I did not grow completely out of my my phase of like anti SJW ness, and I kind of felt, of course, disconnected from the black community. And for one, and for two, I thought that because that's the narrative in America in general by both liberals and leftists, but liberals are starting to actually call out Republicans' racism even more, or racism of hate groups and stuff like that. Is that racism still exists, and racism is not always going to be somebody with a swastika tattoo calling you the N word. Racism exists in many different and perversive ways in society. For instance, like I was mad that people were always blaming things on racism, but the thing I didn't realize, like the easy one, is that hey, motherfucker, the neighborhood you were born in and the house you live in is in part thanks to white supremacy. The fact that it was certain social stereotypes that you had to follow, and you got made fun of for not following those expectations, is a result of racism and white supremacy. And over the years, of course, I realized that videos like this is the easy first thing that you know about videos like this Steven Crowder one, is that this video is not actually meant to make any real arguments. It's just a video that's meant to cheapen and make defense for white supremacy. Because um I'm gonna just guess that a lot in this video is gonna be somebody saying like, if I say I love Western civilization, does that mean that I'm racist? I mean, possibly. Why the fuck are you saying that? Like, are you saying that people from Africa or Asia or the Middle East aren't builders, aren't thinkers like Western Europeans, or Eastern Europeans and what have you? You know, depends on what you're saying and why you're saying it. But I'm done with my intro. We can just get into the video.
Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Susan Wojcicki, you tell me, what exactly is white supremacy? Who exactly is a white supremacist and who should be banned?
I mean, we kind of looking at one now. Of course, about almost 10 years later, looking at Elon Musk running Twitter, white supremacists like Steven Crowder will never get banned. But people who do like shit like that, like they constantly virtue signal and say racist bullshit for no reason, unprompted, making racist arguments against completely innocent people and the entire demographics of people, and then turn around saying I'm not racist, are usually the motherfuckers that are white supremacists and that are racist. I'm just saying.
Today, question, it's a simple one. What is white supremacy?
This is like asking somebody, what does being a white person mean? Because this definition is so vague and nuanced that many types of people and many different political thought processes can lead you to being white supremacists. Like, for instance, you got a lot of good boy black conservatives that are white supremacists. Maybe not because they necessarily hate black people, but because, like, let's face it, like some like on the book shit, racism is illegal. On the book shit, it's a lot of black people that are wealthy and that are achieving high things. And when you look at something without doing more research into a topic, you can ironically start spouting off white supremacist talking points and become a white supremacist yourself. Like you would start saying like maybe people that get beat by the police, maybe they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe they should have had a job. Maybe they should care about their language and how they talk. And before you know it, you're going down the road making the same arguments as neo-Nazis and Klansmen. Point being here is that white supremacy is not really something that is one definition or another. Is more so a variety of political thought processes, not even just against black and Latino people, but against Jewish people and Asian people and what have you too. It depends on what you're saying and why you're saying it, and depending on whether you're organically arriving at white supremacist conclusions. And I think that's a result of our stunted political system not allowing political thought outside liberalism is partially responsible for people not having a better understanding about white supremacy and how it exists in society. But it's also partially because a lot of people are just hateful bigots. You can't leave those people out, and everything that they say is just a post talk justification for their hateful beliefs. And then you also got people, again, they organically arrive at these conclusions because there's no further information out there unless you really look for it to describe, what's wrong in our society as we know it.
It's talked about a lot, but I don't hear it clearly defined a whole lot. So you tell me, what constitutes a white supremacist, and where do you draw the line at bannable offenses on social media? I really want to know. First off, let me start this by saying, of course I was horrified and am horrified and condemn any and all mass shootings.
Oh, I believe you, bro.
Christchurch, the synagogues, mosques, awful. And anyone who supports that ideology, I've been very consistent. I want to make sure that there is no misconstruing what I'm about to say.
I mean, if you don't support anybody that supports that ideology, you could have ended this show like 4 fucking years ago. And I know you're still making videos and episodes too. Like, if you're so desperate to virtue signal how much you hate white supremacists and how much you want to, dude, and it's like Steven Crowder, especially over the years after this video, only got further to the right and more racist, more, homophobic and more sexist, more, hateful of the disabled, more, neo-Nazi, like more, Jewish questioning, like his fucking spat with the Daily Wire when he got into it with his butt buddy Ben Shapiro about who wanted to bend over more to pay him or whatever the fuck was going on. So yeah, if you don't like white supremacy, you don't like people that support the ideology, why the fuck is your entire program dedicated to number one, saying racism isn't real, and number two, being racist?
That being said, before we move on to the current loosey-goosey definitions of white supremacy.
I really don't want to hear this shit from the same motherfuckers that are constantly saying, black inner city criminals. The inner city is dangerous. The police need to crack down and be allowed to fight the scourge in the middle of the city. The same motherfuckers who go around saying that there's deep state elite cabal trying to destroy the white man and there's anti-white racism in our society, and that any movement at all is a terrorist movement. That opposes white supremacy, whether it's from American Indians, whether it's from Asian people, whether it's from Middle Eastern people. Every movement that counteracts white supremacy in some way or another, even just like non-racial movements too, they consider it terrorism. So this dude over the fucking years has done a lot to contribute to white supremacy, while at the same time bitching about his constant existence in society, where he's literally at the beginning of a video playing defense for the term white supremacist.
See, before the bodies are even cold, they've been politicizing this, blaming it on President Donald.
And you can shut the fuck up saying that too. That was another fucking stupid point. Keep bringing them in. Let me turn it up a little bit, because I love it, bro. No, I hate it when conservatives do this bullshit, or fascists like Steven Crowder. They do this shit where they're talking about somebody would do a politically motivated shooting, whether it's like some type of incel shooting, or it's like a shooting, targeting LGBT people, or of course, this in these cases racially motivated terrorism, and then they be like, whoa, why are you making this about politics? Because it's already fucking political. It's a political motivated shooting. Racism, being racist, is a political viewpoint. I don't know what to fucking tell you.
Donald Trump.
On Saturday in the morning, this assault on the synagogue. And then Saturday afternoon,
I'm gonna skip this part because yes, that son of a bitch, even today in 2024, is responsible for a good amount of shootings and terror, right wing terror attacks that we see. And then this video going forward, there was literally a white supremacist insurrection on the fucking Capitol building. His punk ass and the rest of y'all motherfuckers, both the Republican senators, the Republican you know, Congress people, the pundits and politicians. Tucker Carlson was still on Fox News at this time, but he's done gone full mask off fascist over there fucking playing tennis, paddleball with Putin to see who can bend over to pick up the ball first, whatever. But my point being is that my point being is that y'all motherfuckers never stop being racist. You motherfuckers never stop dehumanizing people of color or other groups of people that you have decided are the quote unquote enemy of America. Because keep that in fucking mind. What's like causing, or what caused, retroactively looking at this video for it, in the past 4 years, like retrospectively too, is that these people and their rhetoric, their hatred, and their and all, and it's like entire, videos like this full of false history, the cheapening of the real narrative, the participation in conspiracy theories, all of this shit led to a surge in white supremacist violence in the United States. And yes, Donald Trump is a part responsible for that shit. Because y'all motherfuckers never stop talking about how the innocent, well-to-do white man is under attack because, I don't know, you saw an interracial couple on TV, or you saw a gay person downtown when you were trying to feed the fucking pigeons or something. So, yes, like, and it's not just Donald Trump. I will say that, Steve, is that, it's a lot of y'all. Shapiro, Matt Walsh came on a little later. Michael knows he was doing it at this fucking time. Tucker Carlson, people like Stu Peters, Alex Jones, Libs of TikTok. All of these people that I just previously named are James Alsop, Eric Stryker, what's that one son of a bitch? I forget his name. Vincent James, Nick Fuentes, what's that? Jesse Lee Peterson, what's his butt buddy? James Hake, all of these motherfuckers, bro, and it's too many people to name. Steve Bannon, it's too many people to name. Like, they are on the hook for the surge of white supremacist terrorism that we are seeing in our country, that we're still wrestling with here in 2024. It's not just Trump, even though he's just one bad actor among many. So this segment where all these newscasters are just calling out, him being racist or defending white supremacists at Charlottesville, perhaps, is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to include this in a video, so I'm skipping it.
What is white supremacy? The problem here is that you hear these people mention it and they fail to define it. Because according to the media and the activist echo chamber, white supremacy...
And again, this is where they take nuanced political theories and they try to act like the only way you can be a white supremacist is just by calling black people N-words and saying that you should, do another Holocaust to Jewish people. These people, take very complex, sociological problems and, political views, and they try to simplify it to the most down-to-earth, easy to call out shit, when at the end of the day, being a white supremacist or supporting white supremacy is much more complicated than somebody that's in a fucking Klan robe or that's wearing a swastika armband. And it's like I said at the beginning of this video, because I knew he was going to do this shit, being a white supremacist is not always malicious. Being a white supremacist or supporting white supremacist viewpoints can also come along organically from our stunted political system that doesn't teach you a lot about how capitalism and white supremacy kind of work together to fuck over people of color. That's a whole nother topic right there. Or, you organically learn it because, in 1968, racism was over. And then, it's like basic things that are still keeping, the rate, like especially systemic racism as we know it going along, like the drug war, like the hyper militarized police, like the property tax fund school shit, like the deunionization, like lower wages, like the cutting of social welfare programs. All this stuff leads to a more white supremacist society. But there, this stuff that I just named, the stuff that you have to research and you got to learn how it works. And there are people that are out and about bigots, and I will say this because, and it's like, and it's like, I would usually wait, but I'm trying to do 3 videos today, but I know he's probably gonna say like, oh, so if I say I love Western civilization, is that white supremacy? But as like I said earlier, it's about why and how you're saying it and what are you saying it for. So yeah, let's see where he goes.
Supremacist includes everybody from, of course, President Donald Trump. But then there's this guy who's been accused of it. And if you don't think that's enough, there's this guy who could forget if you're not, this guy.
You can be any race, period, and still be a white supremacist. And they painted up Ben Carson with a bunch of like cropped on teardrop and a iron cross and shit like that. And I think there's probably like a swastika on his hand or something. Oh, there's an SS tattoo on his fucking hand. Yes, you can be black and you can have the same political viewpoints as a neo-Nazi. Jesse Lee Peterson, if of anything but skin color, is a neo-Nazi, a white supremacist who goes around saying that other races of people besides white people have dirty souls and shit like that. So yes, you can be black and you can hate N-words. You can think that black people are stupid. You can think black people are illiterate. You can think black people just don't work hard as white people. You can think white people built this country and we owe something to white people simply for them being white. You can think when you want to have a spouse or you want to have friends around you and stuff like that, it's better that you have white people instead of quote unquote blacks. You can believe in, promote every stupid talking point about black people being criminals and shit. So being a white supremacist is much more of a complicated subject than just simply, being white or, being, white passing. And of course, Jewish white supremacy, like Chaya Raichik, like the video I'm going to go over next, she's a white supremacist. Ben Shapiro is a white supremacist. Abigail Shapiro is a white supremacist. You can be any race and be a white supremacist. So this like virtue, fucking Carlton Banks from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a white supremacist in his practices. The fact that he was a fucking young black Republican. The fact that when the police pulled him over, he said it's because they were driving too slowly. The fact that he has never, tried to understand or experience racism as we know it in society, in general. Not that you should try to experience racism. I guess I would just say he never experienced racism. It is depicted as sort of having white supremacist practices and viewpoints. So this bullshit where they try to flash their, not to mention the fact, you got fucking soulless fucking grifters that'll just say anything to make money. Like Candace Owens will literally repeat anything that y'all I think Candace Owens works for the Daily Wire now. But Candace Owens, her fucking speechwriters, she'll say anything about black people. She'll like literally deny history in order to smear black people. So, this shit, where he's like, oh, this guy has been considered a white supremacist even though he's Jewish and he's black. This is fucking nonsense, bro. And it really shows the level of like, fucking brain functioning that this guy is on, where it's like he thinks so. It's like Steven Crowder, unless you are personally stupid enough, that's all you, buddy, to believe that white supremacists can be only white. If you're personally stupid, that's fine, but don't put that on us.
Yeah, he's one of them. And then finally, by the time you get to this actual white supremacist, my point is the term has lost all meaning.
Yeah, it didn't lose its meaning. It applies to all these people, not necessarily equally, but colloquially. All these people can be described, including up to the swastika guy, is they can be considered white supremacists, promote white supremacist viewpoints, and practice white supremacist, political beliefs and political practices. It's just that the dude with the swastika on him is just willing to go to the extreme and actually commit violence because it's a difference between like, okay, and it's like, and it's a very similar phenomenon on the left. You got people who are rhetoricians, people who are promoting the rhetoric. People that are white supremacists in their rhetoric are not going to have, swastika tattoos, have armbands on them, and be at places like Charlottesville talking about what they want to do to Jewish or black people and stuff like that. People that are the quote unquote and it's like I tacitly use the term intellectuals behind the white supremacist movement, the suits behind the white supremacist movement, and we have suits, behind leftism in general, that are the rhetoricians and the sort of political leaders behind leftist thought and stuff like that, both online, both in our governments and stuff like that, where the liberals and lefts do agree, but our shit is much more complicated. But my point being is that you have people that are in suits and ties and people who are program presenters like Steven Crowder here, who are not going to overtly say racist things, but they give you all the arguments to justify racist viewpoints. And then it's the viewer's job to go out and be the swastika guy. That's usually how this works. People that are white supremacists recruiting on the internet or through their political praxis in person are not people who are going to be on the street fighting. The people on the street fighting are normal people. The people promoting the white supremacist rhetoric are going to be in suits and ties. So yeah, I just whatever, dude. What?
By the time you get to him, it's like, yeah, but you said Dr. Ben Carson was a white supremacist. I don't appreciate the generalization about I don't see myself as a white supremacist.
Your impressions aren't funny. Boo.
I'll stab you in the belly buckle. The point. Let me make this really clear, lest I come off as a hypocrite.
Imagine getting paid to laugh at this stupid shit, bro. Like, and then the worst part yet on being a part of this fucking program. Imagine if you because these people gotta get seen. And you gotta know that these motherfuckers live in the straight up all the whitest fucking area that they can fucking find. Because it has to be fucking embarrassing that what you do for a living is come laugh at not even racist jokes. Because racist jokes can be funny. But you gotta laugh at these dry ass stupid impressions. And then you go home to your wife that doesn't even love you. Okay.
Let me define this for you. Because I'm going to challenge you to do so.
I wouldn't do it for a job.
The belief that anyone is inferior or entitled to fewer basic human rights solely based on race is evil. Okay?
Most white supremacists have moved past that form of rhetoric to justify their white supremacist political beliefs. What white supremacists will usually say, you dumb motherfucker, is that Black people, Jewish people, Hispanics, women, and LGBT people have been given the same rights, but I think an easier one to generalize and isolate is what they will say about Black people. Because the white supremacist isn't going to say that Black people deserve less human rights. They will say that, well, we given the Blacks everything. We ended slavery and we did the Civil Rights Act, and now Blacks are just committing a lot of crime, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't believe anybody deserves less human rights, but somebody should just do something, man. I don't know what it is that's causing all this crime in the Black community. We must need more policing. We must need more, higher sentencing for petty crimes. We need to take away social safety nets. We need to further racially stereotype them and, promote hatred against every Black person. And, even if they do make an effort to make themselves an individual. So white supremacists have moved past that rhetoric, because that's rhetoric before the Civil Rights Act. After the Civil Rights Act, being an out and about racist has become politically disadvantageous, because if you're racist, it's easy to attack you. If you're racist out loud, of course no minority will vote for you, so people code their racism more nowadays and through other subject matter. And I think an easy one, especially when you want to be racist towards Black people, you're not going to say these N-words need to be put back in their place. You're going to say, we need to really do something about this inner city crime. Now look at all these videos that I've cobbled together of stores getting insured goods stolen out of them. What are we going to do about this? These people need to be stopped. You will say that. You're not going to say that you don't like Black people, or go get on the fucking mic saying slurs like it's 1954 or something.
Whoever believes that, whoever subscribes to that worldview, is a racial supremacist. Just as believing that anyone wealthier than you is entitled to fewer human rights, as those in socialism do, is evil.
That's not what socialism is. Nobody in socialism believes that people, because they're wealthy, are deserving of less human rights. Ironically, people being wealthy has a cascading effect that makes the working class have less human rights. That's what socialists believe. I don't. He cobbled that shit together so he could get you to keep voting for people that fuck you over, or you stay away from political movements that can actually get you more money in your pocket. But hey, listen to him if you want.
But none of this is exclusive to white people. And that's not what
Not.
the left is using to define a white supremacist or even a racist. Let me run you through a few examples here, okay? Then you tell me what white supremacist means and who we ban, and I want to get to Twitter in a second. If I were to tell you that Asians, on average, tend to have high IQ scores, okay? Would that statement make me a racist, white supremacist, Asian supremacist? On
Just because you pulling this shit up just to like vaguely say it for no reason. Yes, I think this makes you a white supremacist just because you're getting on my fucking nerves saying random statistics for no reason. I'm saying it just because I don't fucking like you, Steven Crowder. But also, no, it is not racist to put up statistics and to say simple facts. It's about why you are saying it, and if you're gonna put nuance into the positions of why you're saying it.
Honestly, think about it, answer. Now, if I were to tell you that black people, on average, not all, are faster than most people in general, in part because they have more fast twitch muscle fibers, is that racism? Is that black?
Why are you bringing it up? Are you bringing it up because you want to just point out that there's a lot of good black basketball players and runners? Or are you bringing it up because you think that black people just do a lot of hard labor better? I mean, why are you bringing it up? You tell me.
Black supremacy? Is it white supremacy? Now, what if I were to make the statement that Eastern Europeans, on average, not all, are physically stronger than, say, Asians? Look at that. Every nary an English name or Asian name, aside from Brian Shaw and one Canadian. Is that white supremacy? Now, let me...
Why are you saying it? And then don't say that because you motherfuckers, like, at the end of the day, bro, if a black person commits any crime against a white person, y'all make them sound like some invincible gangster that couldn't be stopped. But so, like, at the same time, you can't say that white people are stronger than everybody else, while at the same time, when a white person gets a crime committed against them, saying that they're weak and defenseless. Two things at
make you a
once.
little less comfortable here, but go with me in this
Oh
experiment.
boy.
What if I were to say that white people, on average, have higher IQ scores than black people, on average?
Oh yeah, this is very fucking racist because number one, you're saying it for no reason to try to prove how intelligent you are and stuff like that. That's what all these statistics are for. Like you're saying them because you're trying to get a shock value out of just like saying random shit. But the only reason why an IQ gap between black and white people has been closing, why do you think black people have lower IQ? Just think about it. Was it because black people? It's like what really makes me mad about white supremacists like Steven Crowder. Yes, that term does apply to him too. Is that they will say shit like black people have lower IQ than white people, and then just walk away from it like black people aren't trying hard enough. Then they just like slowly forget that. Damn, at one point in time, black people literally were not allowed to read and write. So these were not basic skills passed down through the generation. I would say probably until 1950, the average black person wasn't even able to get to a school to learn how to fucking read and write, especially in the South. Maybe things are better up here in the North, but it's like to an extent. During slavery, that was hundreds of years of it literally being illegal. They will kill you. They will beat you for days. They will fucking cut off body parts if you were caught reading and writing, and then somehow wonder why how in a modern day that black people have like poor reading and arithmetic skills. That's number one. Two, people like Steven Crowder and the fuckheads he support the Republican Party have done everything that they can to put black kids at a disadvantage in schools and shit like that. Making sure teachers get paid so little that they don't give a fuck to teach them. Make sure the school has so little funding that they can't provide a good curriculum for students to learn on. Making sure that kids live in violent neighborhoods and stuff and have very little places like community centers, very little places like libraries so they can go study and understand things. The fact that these motherfuckers are trying to take away things that teach people how to read and write early, like Sesame Street and public broadcasting services that, give kids an early education before they go out into preschool and kindergarten. So it's like, y'all motherfuckers are largely responsible for the black white IQ gap as it exists, even though it is closing. And it's like racist white people, mostly neo Nazis and white supremacists of varying kinds, always like to bring up that black people, sometimes on average, can't read and write and shit like that, or have an issue with doing math and shit. And but it's like is ignored the fact that but they will completely ignore the fact, which I know he's gonna do in this video, the reason why black people would have a lower IQ than white people. And that's what makes this statement very racist when you just say it and walk away, is because you're making not just a fact, you're not just trying to make a factual. When people say shit like this and you including this in this video, is not you just trying to make a factual statement. You got a point to prove, because right now Steven Crowder, he's dog whistling. That's the thing I'm talking about that they do after the start of the Southern strategy. Because what Steven Crowder right now, and is translating to every black person across America, is saying black people are stupider than white people. That's what you're saying right now. But, if you're going to lie to yourself and say that saying shit like this has no connectivity to white supremacist viewpoints against especially African Americans, whatever.
Is that white supremacy? Because guess what? I just said the exact same thing. I repeated myself. I was redundant, only I used different contrasting methods. So please, go ahead and tell me which statements are acceptable and which are not. Speaking of unacceptable, please bookmark this page if you're on YouTube, because apparently subscription...
Oh yeah, by the way, Asians have a higher IQ on average than everybody else because they spend more time studying and more times in school. Across in Japan and China, and I'm sure like the surrounding countries like Vietnam and Laos and whatever, in the Czech Republic and shit, they spend a lot of time. They spend 6 days a week in school, and I think they go to school for 10 hours. Some of those kids, they live on the school campuses, and they're held to a higher standard than American school children are. So that causes Asian people to have higher IQs and higher, reading and math skills than Americans. So it's all about the environment that people grow up in that causes them to have a higher or lower IQ. So if in America, and I don't think this will ever happen because they want to drop the school, I think they already did at some schools in Detroit to like 4 days a week. But for the most part though, like they go to school way more than we do over here. Even the white kids, their education and their time spent at school and shit like that is way more than even the white kids over here. So that's why Asian people have a higher IQ. See, things like IQ and interconnectivity to math and reading, it has a lot to do to the environment that you grow up in, to what your government requires for education. So just vainly saying this shit and walking away is it's on one hand very stupid in a lot of cases, and in a lot of other hand is very racist. And I'm sure even some Asian people kind of find it condescending and irritating that the only thing that people think that, because there's Asian athletes and shit too, not to mention that they think that the only thing Asian people can do is think and do shit with they mind. And I'm sure Jewish people feel the same way. So the fact that you're pulling up these statistics to stereotype people unreasonably is racist upon itself, because you don't have to say this shit, but you're choosing to say it anyway without any nuance or sociological breakdown of why these factors exist on our planet as we know it. Because there's reasons why certain people have higher IQ. There's reasons why certain races of people have higher athletic performance on average. There's reasons for this, but you're choosing to just say racial stereotypes that may or may not be backed up by facts, but not, and it's like you don't want to dissect or understand these statistics. You just want to say shit that sounds racist.
Notification bell may not be working. Of course, the only way you can support this content is if you join up at loudercutter.com/mugclub or subscribe on iTunes. Part of this is what's really important. Today's leftist playbook is calling everything a white supremacist dog whistle. And this can go from simple phrases like he choked, I'll show you that in a second, to using words like we cherish our history. Here you go.
He is appealing to those voters, whether he's doing it deliberately or not. He's whistling at them and they're hearing it.
Romney choked like a dog. He choked. He went, I can't breathe.
Kind of funny.
I've seen people talk about people choking hundreds of times over the course of my life. They say that. They're not so committed to the metaphor that they then talk about not being able to breathe. I've never seen that happen.
What?
And in New York, where Eric Garner was choked to death by the police and famously had the last words, I can't breathe, I can't breathe.
On Saturday, President Trump said that we must...
I mean, in a country where lynching and choking to death of political opponents and minorities of white supremacists is kind of a theme, saying, going overboard with the choking shit, it can kind of apply here. It can kind of apply here. Like, I give it to them for saying that. Like, yes, it can apply here because, the one very famous thing that happens to black people, especially when in cases of police brutality, we get choked to death. What white supremacists want to do to their political opponents is seen in the Turner Diaries. They want to dare the rope. They want to, kill people through suffocation and choking them. So, yeah, it kind of all goes together. And, that's not my problem. It's yours. Why don't you tell him to stop saying shit like that?
Cherish our history. Tom Perriello is a former...
What do you mean, cherish our history? See, that is something that can possibly be construed as racist. What do you mean by you cherish American history? Do you mean that we ended slavery? Do you mean the American Revolution? Do you mean the fact that we went across the water to fight the Nazis in Imperial Japan? Do you mean the Civil Rights Act? Do you mean the fact that we gave LGBT people and women more rights? Or do you mean you want to go back to a 1950s white supremacist hierarchical society where certain people are back in their place? Or you want to go back to a society where the federal government is less involved in state matters to the point where they can redo Jim Crow? So it all depends on why you're saying that. And Republicans with their aforementioned, more racist rhetoric to begin with, you can imagine what they mean by they cherish our history. They never mean anything good.
Former Democratic congressman from Charlottesville, he heard that as a dog whistle.
So you believe? Let me get this straight. Okay, Young Turks Buzzcut. You believe that Donald Trump is possibly the stupidest president ever, but he had the forethought. He was playing not only 4D.
Being racist and stupid are not like mutually exclusive. Racist people are usually stupid, like you.
Chess. Oh, he was playing 18D chess. When he was talking about when he was talking about Mitt Romney choking like a dog, he was secretly thinking about Eric Garner.
To be honest with you, I've never heard an argument for, or of course, met a smart racist person. People who are white supremacists in their viewpoints or political practices are always stupid. They're always stupid all the time. They live their lives off conspiracy theories and ignorance and I don't understand why you trying to put an effort into to separate those two things. Racist people are stupid.
Because he was trying to mobilize all the neo-Nazis in the Northeast? That's an episode of West Wing.
There's neo-Nazis all over America. Like, what is this? Like, and they just laugh along with this, like, these dumbass talking points. Like, because he's like, what is he gonna do? Galvanize the neo-Nazis in the Northeast? You talking about in places like fucking Maine, New Jersey, New York City? You don't think it's like neo-Nazis up there in like Rhode Island and shit like that? Or I just can't with this shit, bro. This is so stupid. Oof. Or in West fucking Virginia or Vermont, there's no racist people anywhere. Like in Philadelphia, all of fucking Philadelphia, there's no neo-Nazis. Okay.
I'd love to see Sorkin, right? What he's clearly trying to reach The 5 borough racist voters he's referencing Eric Garner. He choked like a dog. Oh, yeah, genius. And we can't say cherish our history? And by the way,
nobody's saying that you can't say it, is why you're saying it. Why people like you usually say cherish our history. Because it's like this. The reason why it's bad is because it's not because you're saying it, it's because you're adjacent political viewpoints. And the things that you want to politically do to our country. That's what makes, when people like you say cherish our history, is bad. It's not because people are desperate for a gotcha and to call you racist. It's most likely because the things that you want to go back to, or the things that you cherish, and the things that you want to go back to, are horrible discriminatory shit that our country, should be moving past and refusing to remember. But you want to keep us stuck to these terrible events in our country anyway.
those are isolated incidents, okay? But it's gotten even more sinister. We've talked about the left wanting to control language. The left wants to use long-standing, clearly defined words like Western civilization. They want to...
It's not our fault that Western civilization is nothing but a white supremacist dog whistle, and it's not something taken seriously in academic research about civilizations as we know them. Every civilization exists separately, but not only exists separately, but in building of Western civilization as we know it, you got me saying, but the West as we know it has had involvement of people of color, gay people, and women. And the idea of saying Western civilization is just saying things that are white, but all these countries that are majority white or have white people in them, they did not build themselves off the backs of white people, ironically enough. So that's why it's racist to just say Western civilization. Not to mention, every Western country did not always get along. Every Western country does not have an interconnected history. And countries that are considered white now, like Russia, for whatever the fuck reason that is, I guess white just means, or Western too, just means whatever's convenient at the time, because, whiteness and Western civilization are very interconnected to one another. And it leads to the point of this term meaning nothing. Because, all country with, white-skinned people are not interconnected. They did not always get along, and they do not necessarily have a shared history with one another. In fact, I dare say that Western countries didn't really start getting along until like 1890, because America literally had war plans to invade Great Britain up until World War II. So, I mean, it's a stupid term. It's a very stupid term that nobody takes seriously, and that's not my problem, it's yours.
I don't include that among the secret dog whistle list. Now, it may or may not be true that some white supremacists are doing that. Are we supposed to lose our right to our opinions completely founded on principles and deductive reasoning?
I mean, it's like this is so fucking dumb, bro. It's like everything that come out of your mouth gonna be something stupid. Look, man, if you're saying something but a white supremacist is also saying it too, then you should think about what you're saying and if you should keep saying it or not. That's your fucking problem. Like, if you are saying things like 1350, or that there's a deep state cabal of evil elites trying to destroy the white race, if you're going around saying Western civilization is falling because of feminism, when you say that, and then the person standing next to you is a neo-Nazi saying it and Sieg Howling, that's your problem to decide if you want to keep saying that shit or not. It has nothing to do with us. We're going to just say that you're a piece of shit and a bad person for saying it, and it's up to you to decide if you want to keep saying it or not. You can keep saying it, but there's not going to be like no social consequences to being a fucking, from being a person that's on the same side. Because that should tell you something. Because that told me something the past couple of years, because I used to be sort of like an anti-feminist, right? I was an anti-feminist, and then that, I realized like, whoa, you're anti-feminist? Don't you realize you're on the same arguments of neo-Nazis that hate N-words? And then I was like, yeah, maybe I should rethink my political positions.
Reasoning for fear of some white supremacists somewhere using some of this terminology, which will ultimately to make a point that I don't even agree with, When I'm using the term
It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. Y'all both are making a fucking point.
Western civilization to make a point that a white supremacist would never agree with as well.
How do you know that?
The left is trying to cut people
This
like
is
you and
so
I.
fucking stupid, dude. I cannot believe I believe anything that this motherfucker had to say like 8 years ago. This is some of the dumbest fucking shit ever. And the worst part about that last segment is it was nothing that required history or knowing any like, you know, any type of sociology and shit. It was just basic thinking.
Off at the pass, simply because we believe Western civilization is the best in the world. And I do believe that. I think a lot of you believe that. That doesn't make anybody a white supremacist. Certainly
What makes it better?
not worthy of banning or
me
deplatforming. But
what makes it better?
let's follow the logic
You're
trail
not
here.
gonna tell me
Let me
what
try to use a
makes-
couple
you're not gonna
of
tell me what
examples.
makes it better.
Again, I really want liberals watching, leftists out there, to give me a definition here. White supremacy.
Oh, fuck off, dude. Because they always try to do this shit. And there's a PragerU video out there, you know, that does shit like this, where they try to play on a wedge between leftists and liberals and shit like that. But I assume that most liberals aren't stupid enough to fall for this shit. But it's like,
and what warrants being banned is believing that the United States is believing that America is superior to Mexico. White supremacy.
I mean, it's like it could be construed as white supremacy because you are now saying a majority white country built on white supremacy is better than a country built on, that's built by Hispanic people, brown people. That's what you're saying now. And that's why people construe it as racist. Because when conservatives say that America is better, they don't mean America is better because all the people in it. They mean because the white people that's here and the brown people down there. So, yes, this is a racist statement.
Now, what if I believe that the Mexican-American business owner is superior to the white guy working with the Mexican cartel? By the way,
this doesn't matter.
There are white people in Mexico. Have you seen the soap operas?
We don't care.
Or Jesse Ventura lately. He lives there.
I have no communications to the United States other than doing my off-the-grid show, which we do from various locations so that the drones won't find me and kill me.
This man is not covered under free trade. You take it back. You take him back.
I didn't want to be in the States because of fluoride in your tap. Of course, the parasites were a trade-off I didn't see coming. I should have asked more questions.
All right. If I
Give me a break.
say that North America is superior to Africa, is that white supremacy?
Yeah.
Now,
that's white supremacy because you're saying that a mostly white continent is superior and better than because I'm assuming that you're referring to sub-Saharan Africa, which is mostly black people and stuff like that, because the implication here is that number one, there are cities, towns, and public transportation and interconnectivity in Africa. There are cities in Africa and built civilization there, but you people ignore that and you say that Africa is all fucking the savannah and the like the wildlife sanctuary areas. Ignore that African people have moved up out of colonialism to build cities and stuff like that, and you pretend like these motherfuckers have literally for the past year or two been sharing a video of a hut on fire, right? And you got a bunch of people throwing dirt in it, and they try to say this is African civilization, but it turned out that it was Indian. So, like, you people don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Not only do you not know what you're talking about, you're also racist, stupid, and when you say this type of thing, you're not implying that we're better because we have like better GDP. You're not implying that we're better because of we have better built cities or better infrastructure and what have you. You're saying that and giving the credit to whiteness over here and the bad things over there to the black people that live there. Like, this is not lost on nobody. This is not, nobody's stupid. And is living in North America better than living in Africa? I mean, it all depends on perspective. So that's another thing. So there, it's not only is that like I said, it's a stupid statement, it's a racist statement, and then if you're not stupid or being racist, there's no reason to say it.
What if I say that the Kenyan-Canadian immigrant who's become a civil engineer is superior to the white South African pimp? Let me be clear here.
We really don't care like about your your mumbo jumboing up about like now you're, and it's like not to mention the fact, bro, because the one thing that's not talked about enough, I feel, and it's not, I'm not trying to make the same arguments they make about black people, but one thing that isn't discussed enough is white criminality, even though that's not the point here about what's white supremacy and what's not. But this dude is desperately trying to virtue signal like, yes, I can call out white people when they're criminals or people that I politically disagree with. But it's like at the same time, it's just like, yes, that's the problem with white supremacist beliefs in general, is that people like you, and it's like, and I guess we get into a point in the video that I sort of do remember. See, the issue with you, Steven, what you're doing right now is you're trying to be like, you're not trying to collectivize different groups of people together. When at the end of the day, your very beliefs, your white supremacist viewpoints, especially referring to black people, those from Africa and the ones born here, you collectivize us all into one box. And that can be seen in your later videos and shit like that. Like, for instance, like, have you seen his fucking farm video about the black people that were getting like reparations because their farms were discriminated against, so they didn't make, as much money as they could have, and then the U.S. government subsidized them, and then this motherfucker got on there talking about something, I'm gonna get that plow, man, I get me a Hennessy tree, man. When that collectively implies that all black people act like that. So that's the point of racism, and why racism is bad, you fucking idiot, is because when you collectivize an entire group of people together under bad stereotypes, it leads to the political persecution of that group of people, which you heftily partake in against blacks, Jews, Muslims, Hispanic people, women in general, including white women, and LGBT people. You and your rhetoric, you, especially this like fake comedy bit where you go off the worst fucking stereotypes of every single kind of political activist that you bring up, or minority that you bring up. You are like, you're the worst fucking bad actor. You're the worst interpretation of the voice of those minorities. You collectivize all minorities and different forms of social justice all together, and that leads to people, being racist. That's the point of racism, is you collectivize people together. And now in this one instance, you're trying to desperately shoo away the collectivism bent to prove that white people can be criminals too. Whatever.
I don't believe the white race or white people are superior by. I don't believe that any person of any race is superior by birthright in any shape or form due to the.
But watch me make millions of videos or hundreds of videos implying that, talking about black criminals, Hispanics overrunning the border, deep state elite cabals destroying and controlling the U.S. government to destroy the white man. Watch me justify all police brutality against black and Hispanic people. Watch me, even interconnected things to white supremacy, justify rape culture and the political persecution of women and LGBT people. Watch me justify all this fucking hatred, but at the end of the day, I put a little fucking star on it and say, I think black people are equals. You got it, dude. I'm done with this video. That was stupid. I can't believe I used to believe shit like that.